Hi, I'm Barbara Wainwright, the CEO and founder of Wainwright Global Institute of Professional Coaching. And today I am super excited to introduce you to Jay Fairbrother. He is a serial entrepreneur, a business coach, and mastermind guru with 30 years of experience starting, buying, and selling seven-figure businesses. Jay's story includes losing everything after the 2010 financial crisis and rising from the shame to shine as the Mastermind Guy. Jay helps coaches and experts with two programs. The first one is Figure Masterminds Bootcamp, and the second one is Mastermind Mastery. Create and launch your high-end mastermind in 60 days. That's pretty great if you ask me. So welcome, Jay. I'm super delighted to have you here today.
Thank you, Barbara. I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, so I would love to hear a little bit about your story and how you got started with masterminds, because being the guru of masterminds is really something. And I know that running a mastermind is super beneficial to everybody involved. So I'm looking forward to hearing about that.
Yeah, thanks. I'm kind of at the point in life where I can barely remember what I ate for breakfast yesterday. But I vividly remember 25 years ago when I walked out of my very first mastermind meeting and I said to myself, oh my God, I finally found my tribe. So I started my first business at around age 30. Like most people, I started it with nothing, credit cards, and was pretty successful pretty quickly. So I grew it to $1 million in revenue within a couple of years, but I kind of got stuck there. I couldn't seem to get beyond that million-ish revenue mark. And so I joined an organization called Young Entrepreneurs Organization and got in my very first mastermind meeting. I did not know that day that literally was going to change my life. We all joined that mastermind and the organization to just grow our businesses and become better entrepreneurs. And in that first mastermind that I was in, which happened to be all men, within 5 or 6 months of us, meeting together, masterminding, I was watching grown men cry as they talked about their messed up marriages and their kid problems and how their business finances was affecting their lives. And it was really eye-opening to me because I was always kind of a bit of a loner growing up, and it was like the first time as an adult that I felt like really deep human connection. Beyond sort of the surface, like you get to know, people as peers or you hang out with them socially and networking and that kind of thing. But really get to, some deep levels of conversation and revealing things and just, growing a tribe that like has your back. And in this particular mastermind's case, boy, did they have my back. I'll fill in the gaps. So I was in that mastermind. I loved it so much that as I ended up being president of the Young Entrepreneurs Organization, and I joined all the masterminds that we started within the organization because I loved it so much. And I joined to make sure they got off on the right foot. So my idea was I'd go in for 3 or 4 months and facilitate, make sure they were good, and then I'd move on. Didn't exactly happen that way. I stayed in some much longer than 3 or 4 months. But that first mastermind I was in for 17 years, every month meeting with basically, little bit of change over basically the same group. So fast forward over the next 6 or 8 years, my business grew it to 200 employees and about 10 million in annual revenue. And I sold the business in 2004. And life was good. I traveled, I bought 3 businesses, I invested in lots of different things. If anyone listening has ever had one of those times in your life where everything was going beautifully and then something completely out of your control happens, well, there was this little thing called the Great Recession from 2008 to 2010. And I, like many people on the planet, lost everything. So went completely bankrupt. I quite literally went from being a multimillionaire living in a mansion to living in my friend's basement without a car. And I didn't exactly react well to that whole situation. I isolated, I disconnected, I withdrew from all of the entrepreneurial connections and networks because I was dealing with that humiliation and that shame. And so I was in that basement literally for about 5 months, but figuratively for more like 5 years. And so when I finally decided that I was, ready to sort of put myself back out there and hang my shingle as a coach and consultant again, which I had done in between businesses over the years, I, kind of was at a loss for what to do. And the idea of helping people with masterminds was the first thought I had. And I went into it like a lot of coaches, experts, authors, speakers who start their businesses. We want to help everybody, right? So my idea was, I can help all types of entrepreneurs. I've owned 9 different businesses in 6 different industries. So I went out and I started fishing in the ocean for clients, which was what most people do when they're starting their business, right?
Yes, yes.
And it's driven, by I think we can help everybody. Everybody's a potential client. And it didn't work. I came up with this very lame name for my company called peeradvisorgroups.com. It was the best domain I could find at the time. And I just was, I was too broad, and it didn't work. I got a mastermind or 2 going, but it didn't really catch. So I shifted, I pivoted, okay, maybe I'll try this. Another opportunity arose. Maybe I'll try that. And it really took a while for me to come back to, what, I'm here on this planet to help create more connection and to help do that through masterminds. Guess whose basement I lived in for those 5 months? It was one of those guys in that mastermind.
That's my group, of course, yes.
And to me, that's what it's really about. It's about, creating that human connection. And if you think about the world we live in, I mean, I think the U.S. Surgeon General declared an epidemic of loneliness in the U.S. this year. Exactly. If you think about digital disconnection and, just the isolation from COVID and that kind of thing. I mean, I think people are really, craving that deeper human connection and getting to those levels.
I agree.
And so that's why I love masterminds as a vehicle to do that. And so that's what I'm here to do, is help people create masterminds.
I love that. I think you're so right about people craving connection. And, for a long time, I trained this class, my coaching class, live and in person. And the hugs were amazing. Meeting people in person, it's just so yummy. And then switching to online and seeing people and watching the aha moments it's almost as good as live. Not quite.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's, Chat GPT can't give you a hug. Right. But here's the thing. And what COVID did do is it made people so comfortable with meeting online.
Yes.
Like pre-COVID, if you had proposed to somebody, let's get together for a 2 or 3 hour online meeting, they would have been like, no, put a needle in my eye. But now, people have come to accept it, and, you can get pretty darn close to in person with online connections.
Absolutely. I believe you can 100% get the same value. It's just that hug that you're missing.
You don't get the hugs.
Oh my gosh. So I'd love it if you'd share with, what is a mastermind? What does it mean to say I'm joining a mastermind, and how would that be different from group coaching, which is something I am more familiar with, is group coaching, but a mastermind, I'm not really sure what the difference is.
Yeah. So Napoleon Hill is credited with coming up with the term mastermind. And the basic concept was you put one person in a room with another person in a room, and you create a third brain he called it the mastermind, right?
Okay.
So that's kind of the concept. So if you think of, 8 or 12 people in a room and the sort of group brain that develops. So
it's very cool.
that's sort of and I'll distinguish between sort of a true mastermind and there's all kinds of hybrid versions, right?
Okay.
So a true mastermind is that sort of group of 8 to 12. And the reason it's usually kept that small is because it's about building those deep relationships. And it's about having meetings where everyone in the meeting gets a voice every meeting, right?
Yeah.
You don't have lurkers. You don't have the introvert sitting back and not participating and just listening. And a well-run mastermind, deliberately brings out through facilitation the relationships and gets people to those deeper levels. And what I call it reveals the wisdom in the group. Because when you put a bunch of smart people in a room, there's a lot of knowledge, right? So you don't need any magic to put people in a room and sort of ask about their knowledge.
Right.
But what does take some skill is to put them in a room and get them to feel safe and comfortable and trusted, and that it's everything they say is confidential.
Yes.
When you build that kind of safe container, suddenly the wisdom starts to come out of people, and they really start to share stuff that they wouldn't share in public, or that they wouldn't just respond to a sort of surface level answer to questions and that kind of thing. So that's sort of a true mastermind.
Yeah.
In our coaching expert, speaker, healer, author industry, the term mastermind has pretty much been bastardized.
Yes.
Most masterminds. So if you look at the most successful coaches on the planet, Tony Robbins, Jeff Walker, run all these names, they all have high-end masterminds, right? It's one of the best ways to scale your coaching business. But often those high-end masterminds aren't masterminds at all. It's glorified group coaching.
Yeah.
Meaning people still just show up, pray to the altar of the guru. There's a little bit of Q&A, but they call it a mastermind because it sounds better and they can ask more money, right?
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I don't care what people call it, but it's just a question of what you want to set out to create, right?
Right, right. And I'll just say one thing about that. It's the same thing with coaching and consulting. People confuse coaching and consulting. They're doing consulting and they're calling themselves a coach. So I hear you saying, people are saying it's a mastermind, but it's not really a mastermind, they're coaching. So it's an interesting thing that the definition and the true meaning of the word isn't honored in that way. So I hear what you're saying about that.
Yeah. So to me, the key is about relationships, right? If you think about, if you've ever been in a group coaching program, you get through the program and realize, you know what, I never even met half of the people in the program as that were the other participants. Boy, wouldn't it have been nice to, sort of. So you can do that on a surface level. People say, oh, well, we're going to create a Facebook community for everybody in the group coaching program. Those aren't real relationships, right?
No, right.
Yeah, that's chit chat. That's, to me, what you can do, and these are what I call hybrid programs, is if you don't want to run that pure mastermind of 8 to 12, well, maybe it's because you do have a lot of training and content and coaching that you want to do as part of your high-end program. If you trickle down some of the masterminding strategies and techniques into a group coaching program, you're going to get better implementation, better client results, and you create stickiness. Yeah. Meaning, so if I jump back to that pure mastermind, right? Stickiness is me staying in a mastermind for 17 years.
Right.
That's stickiness.
Yeah.
And I always say, in that true mastermind kind of sense, that you've created a great mastermind when within 6 or 7 months into it, the people in the mastermind want to stay equally as much for the other participants as to you, the guru sitting on top.
Yes.
So again, to kind of sum up, group coaching, you still have the guru to many relationship.
Right.
Masterminding is, you can still be the guru at the top. You can still be the expert, the leader, the coach in some cases.
Right.
But you deliberately build those relationships with everybody in the group, and you make everybody feel like they're a part of something bigger than just whatever you offer as the guru.
I love that. So everybody gets to know everybody and support everybody, and collectively, and I think that the word is synergy. Collectively, there's a synergy that builds that alone you couldn't possibly do. And I could so relate to what you talked about when, you said you were isolating. That's a problem that I think a lot of people have. I don't think you're alone in that. I think a lot of people isolate, and that's, joining a mastermind and creating that environment where they feel safe. That's huge. That's huge. It's such a gift to humanity to have a place where people can go and feel that connection and feel that support and help them to grow, whether it's personally or in their business or whatever it is. This is something that's so important, I believe. So I would love to hear your thoughts about why it would be a good idea for a coach to have a mastermind. I have my ideas on it, but I'm sure you have some good insight as well.
Well, most coaches, healers, experts, authors, whatever, speakers, you start with one-on-one clients, right? And you're subject to the whims of one-on-one clients. They come for a while, they drop out. You never know when they're going to drop out, so there's no consistent revenue.
Gotcha.
Or you create a course, right? So you create like a typical, anywhere from 4 to 8 week course, and then you do a big launch, and you get the people in the course, and then they have no revenue in between the next, till the next launch, and so there's all the revenue, ups and downs. So one of the best things about a mastermind is it creates recurring revenue, because you're asking people to commit for 6 months or 12 months or even ongoing. You're just saying, no, here's the price. You stay in it. This could last forever. You're free to leave whenever you want to leave, right? You only continue to pay monthly as long as you're getting value.
Right.
So it creates that sort of more stable revenue. But it also gives you often a high-end option, that people, once they've experienced your one-on-one coaching and feel like, okay, I kind of got that part now,
ready for the next level.
Exactly. And so it really, can provide typically a stepping stone for all of your people who have maybe taken your course or gone through your workshops or done one-on-one coaching with to experience something at that higher level, without it being one-on-one, because if we're great at getting one-on-one clients, sooner or later we run out of time, and this is leveraging your time to be able to get the same kind of impact.
That makes so much sense to me. It really does. I love it. So who can start a mastermind, would you say?
Anyone can. So I'll give you a couple examples. Number one, a client of mine went out and started a mastermind after she had been in the coaching space for about 3 months, and she was doing all this networking and meeting all these other people who were right in her situation. They were all struggling, and they were all spending money on these programs and, chasing shiny objects, and none of them were getting anything done. So she kind of just, started talking to them individually and saying, look, what if I put together this little 2-month mastermind, and it's not going to be a ton of money. And so anyway, she went out and found 14 people and created $7,000 in coaching revenue as a brand newbie, creating this little sort of beta mastermind thing to help them collectively help each other get something launched and stop the, just the hamster wheel of learning and not doing anything. On the other side of the spectrum, because a lot of coaches, when they look at it, think like, oh, well, then, okay, that means I have to have my, low end program or paid workshop, and then my course, and then, this, and then I can have a mastermind. There's a woman, you may know her, Debbie White. She's a branding person, and her introductory offer is her $15,000, or I think it's $14,000 mastermind, like per year, $15,000.
Yeah.
She doesn't have a course. She doesn't have a low end program.
Right.
He does a very high touch, funnel, so to speak, low tech, right? You don't need big fancy, sales funnels and that kind of thing. It's very low tech, but very high touch to get people into that mastermind right from the start.
I love it.
So yeah, anybody really can do it. And
Yeah.
when you look at here's some numbers to think about. If you have a $1,500 course, or
Yes.
you have a coaching one-on-one package for $1,500, you need 67 clients to reach 6 figures in revenue.
Whoa.
If you find 10 people who know, love, and trust you, not know, like, and trust you, but know, love, and trust you, and you get them to pay $10,000 a year to be in your elite high-end mastermind with some other really smart people just like them,
Yeah.
you've created 6 figures in revenue.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
That's great. Yes. That's
And
right.
getting 67 of anything is difficult.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
It's a lot of work. That's right. Oh my gosh. No kidding. Oh gosh. So the one you were sharing about was like a business building mastermind. Are there other kinds of masterminds out there that people could do?
Yeah, great question. Because in my personal experience, most of the masterminds I've been in are with and for entrepreneurs. But masterminds can be applied to a lot of different situations. I actually work with a lot of sort of healers and people helping, mindset coaches and that kind of thing. And to me, it's almost a mastermind is almost better for that type of coaching and working with those types of clients, because to get real transformation, which is what we all want, right? We're here as coaches typically not to make money as much as help people.
Absolutely.
and give those life-changing transformations.
Yes.
Well, in the healing, mindset, health kind of space, most of those real transformations take 6 months, 12 months, 18 months.
That's true. That's
to occur.
Yes.
And so you don't, it's funny. I've talked to coaches who, they're running these great like signature courses for 6 or 8 weeks and they, are doing well with them. But at the end, they kind of feel like, my clients only got so far. Like many of them didn't take action. There was no accountability. And it's just like, yeah, well, what if you could put them in a program to continue working with them after the course and really create those transformations?
Yeah. That makes a whole lot of sense. So it doesn't matter what the focus of a mastermind is. It could be healing. It could be business building. It could be, I don't know, any number of things, even a mastermind for authors, right?
Absolutely.
That makes a whole lot of sense to me. So there's lots of different genres of masterminds. It's just like there's 52 coaching niches. So there probably, just as easily be 52 different types of masterminds you could run.
Yeah, I don't know if 50, but I give you a couple more examples. So one of the one type of mastermind is an industry mastermind, right? So if you are an expert in a particular industry, you go out and find other non-competing experts in the industry and you pull them all together and create a mastermind to help each other grow and learn within the industry, right? That's just one type. It's one of the easiest types of masterminds to create because people always think like, I want to hang out with other people in my industry. Yeah. Personally, in my experience, I love the diversity of a mastermind, right? Where you've got different types of business owners or people coming from different, because people think outside a box of one industry. A lot of times we get sort of that, horse with blinders thinking when you're in one industry. Anyway, that's just a personal thing. Another thing people can do is create what I call an access mastermind, which is if you're not an expert, maybe in anything, right? We all have imposter syndrome, right? Like I'm a serial entrepreneur, jack of all, master of none, right? But if I went out and I got, some of the biggest names in my industry, if I could find 3 or 4 big names in my industry, and I went to them and I said, you know what, I'm thinking of pulling together a mastermind for really high end, the top people in the industry, is that something you might be interested in? And I get a few of them to express interest. Then I go to the next 3 or 4 and I say, well, I talked to so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so, and they seem pretty interested. If they jump in, would you be in?
Yes.
And so this has been done many times by people who literally weren't at the same level of all these big players, but they're the ones that brought the group together, had the
Yes.
idea, organized it, pulled it all together, and they helped facilitate and run those meetings.
Absolutely. I've
So
heard of that actually. So that's a real legitimate way to build a big mastermind with big names, introducing them to each other, and they're excited to work together because they can help each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So I would have a question. What would you say would be the key to creating a great mastermind?
So there some of it I've kind of touched on as we talk, the relationship piece, the creating that safe container where people understand. I'll give you an example how important confidentiality is. I was in a this was an in-person mastermind group, and we decided that for our holiday party we would invite significant others and spouses and just do a social thing with everybody in the mastermind.
Nice.
And at that party, one spouse went up to another spouse and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear about such and such." And it was a major breach of confidentiality from the mastermind, and it literally blew the mastermind apart. First of all, those two members had an immediate issue, and then people started taking sides, and the whole mastermind literally fell apart because of that one incident. So the confidentiality is really important, and it's about that safety and trust.
Yes, right? Yes, that makes
sense. There has to be mutual respect between the members. They don't have to even all like each other as much as you can like some more than others. So one of the things I talk about is parity. One of the main reasons masterminds fail is because you're putting people who aren't similar enough into the same group. And what I mean by that is, if you, to put it in like the entrepreneur perspective, if you put somebody doing, 250,000 in revenue in the same group as somebody doing 12 million in revenue, they're not going, they actually have very similar problems, right? In business, we have people problems, cash flow problems, sales and marketing problems, process problems. It's pretty universal.
Yes.
But the person at the 250 versus the 12 million, like they need different things at those different phases in their business.
Yes.
And so and if you are as a guru, if you are including content and training or coaching as part of the program, if you've got that disparity in the group, you either have to dumb down what you're teaching to the middle, or you're going to leave the person at the bottom behind, or the person at the top, if you bring it down, the person at the top gets
bored and wants to move on. I get it. That makes a whole lot of sense. So bringing people that are at the same level doing the same kind of thing seems like it'd be critical. Yeah,
people have to have similar fears, challenges, and frustrations, and similar goals and aspirations, right? As long as those things are aligned, then it doesn't mean that everybody has to be exactly the same in exactly the same place.
Yes.
But there has to be those similarities of the challenges and frustrations and the aspirations and goals.
I love that. I love that. So, I know that you have an amazing program that you put together to help people build their own mastermind, to not only just build it, but to, I guess, you mastermind behind it, help them create what it is that they would be great at providing in terms of a mastermind and marketing it and all of that. So I would love to hear more about that. And also, what's your mission and what's your why behind all of it?
I created an 8-week program, Create and Launch Your High-End Mastermind in 60 days. And basically, this isn't 8 weeks of me just talking in theory about masterminds. This is walking you through the steps of first envisioning what you're going to create and figuring out who are the right fit kinds of people to be in the group. And then figuring out what type of mastermind you're going to run. Is it that sort of more pure mastermind, 8, 12 people, or is it, more of a hybrid between group coaching and masterminding? How much training versus coaching versus facilitation is there? And then we walk through the stages of putting together, the package of what you're going to offer and how to market it, and starting to go out and find the people to fill the program. So the concept is in 8 weeks, you go from creation to at least filling a beta version of the program within 60 days.
That's amazing. So going from concept, creating the whole idea behind it, to actually implementation, that's huge.
Yeah,
that's huge.
I have another, so I teach these live. I have another one coming up here shortly. And I can tell you that 100% of the people who have gone through this program are recommending it and referring it to others and bringing other people into the program.
I love it. I love it. That's amazing. Well, it sounds like you have created something that is in alignment with who you are, with your heart, and you're helping people bring together others that are creating that synergy, and it's just it feels good, Jay. It feels good.
Yeah. So for me, like I said, this is kind of my last chapter. And one of the things that I didn't share this earlier. So I had an epiphany a couple of years ago, which was I was working. It was during that pivot I talked about, where I started with the mastermind stuff, then I kind of got away from it. And somebody was talking about, what do you want to be known for? And the other stuff that I was doing, I was like, I don't want to be known for that. Like, that's not
that's not the legacy I want to leave.
Yeah, exactly. And so when I thought about that, I was like, I have no problem being known as the mastermind guy. Like, I have no problem that's what people think of when they hear or see me or see my name. Because it's been so powerful for me. I mean, it's literally been life-changing. I mean, that experience I went through when I was losing everything and the next 5 years after that, I wouldn't have survived without the support of that tribe that has your back in every situation. So, I run some masterminds now, and I'll give you 2 quick examples if we have time. One is that one of the masterminds I run in person, the guys was having a partner problem that it came up suddenly. He had a blow up with his partner, and he was like, I need to talk to an attorney about this. So, he sent it to our text group. He sent out a message on the weekend, who knows an attorney that specializes in this area. Within 2 hours, half of the mastermind group had responded to his text. And within 24 hours, everyone in the mastermind had responded, either offering, referrals, suggestions, or just acknowledging and, that they were there. So that's what I mean about, sort of people having their back.
Yes.
And the other one, another mastermind, I just started one for coaches who I consider my peers in the industry.
Nice.
And I don't even know that we're 2 months in. And already when people have commented, like, I can't believe how quickly we're all like just opening up and starting to share things that we're not normally talking about in any other masterminds that they already belong to.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's the magic to me, is when those things start to happen, and you feel like these people have my back. Like, if I got in a pinch, I know 10 people I could call,
right,
who might be willing to help.
Absolutely. It's so phenomenal, the things that people can do when they know they have support. And that's what it sounds like. You've got peers that are supportive and, like you said, have your back, so you can move forward with confidence and know that even if something falls apart, you've got a group there ready to help bring you back together again. So I love that. I think, it would be an honor, in my opinion, it would be an honor to be a part of your mastermind class and learn how to be an expert in your terms, not just, the group coaching thing, because it's like you said, it's not the same at all. And I honor that. I appreciate everything that you've created and what you're doing. And I love it. And I don't know, like I said, I think it would be a total honor to be part of it. So I want everybody to know I've got links. This is going out in an email to my group. So there's going to be links in the email for you. And I would highly recommend checking out Jay's information. And I know you did this amazing webinar introducing your course. I don't know if there's a link to that webinar that you did, but it was so good.
Yeah, that's one of the links is to the next upcoming webinar. And then the second link I'll just mention is, if you're kind of not sure and you want to find out if you're ready to create something like this or add this to your coaching business, I have the Mastermind Ready scorecard. It just takes a few minutes to fill out, and I'm amazed at how it opens people's eyes to where their strengths are and where their weaknesses are, to be able to create a program like this and add it to their business, and hopefully add 6 figures in revenue to in addition to whatever they're doing now by creating a program like this.
I love this. I think this is brilliant, and it's the next level, I think, for coaches to step into a situation where they're bringing together their best clients. And because coaches are typically working in a niche, they can take that and those people that they're working on the same niche or area about and bring them together in a mastermind and watch the whole thing just all go to the next level. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Jay. I feel really good about what it is that you're doing, and I hope other people can see and feel that too. And we'll be staying in touch.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay.